my name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Riff Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriff.com, and we're speaking with Dino, the lead singer from Red Vodoo. How you doing tonight, Dino?
Good. How about yourself?
All right. Now, I don't know a lot about your band, but I had the chance to check out your latest single, which is Rise Up. It's a cool little kind of acoustic rock tune, and I understand that you guys are working with Frank Hann, the legendary guitarist from Tesla. How did you guys hook up with him?
Yeah, man. So, Frank's also a local Sacramento artist, of course, with Tesla.
Yeah.
And I'm from Sacramento. So, Red Vodoo, we were looking for someone to really get us to that next level.
Wow.
And I decided to message Frank over Facebook.
Wow.
And I was sitting in class, and he responded.
Wow.
I said, "Hey, man, call me Monday."
Wow.
And I was kind of losing my mind in my seat at school.
Wow, I can imagine that. Yeah.
So, anyways, I call him up, and he got to know me a little bit over the phone and about the band and stuff. And we were still kind of a cover band.
Wow.
Before we started making original music, we were a Van Halen tribute band. We played around the NorCal scene a lot, so we wanted to start getting into originals and wanted to get Frank's help.
What was the name of the Van Halen tribute you guys had at the time?
We were called Teaser. That was our name that we were going with.
That's kind of interesting.
Van Halen tribute.
That's kind of interesting. Now, let me ask you about that, because most times, as you know, tribute bands are typically named after like an album or a song by that particular band. And now, oddly enough, you're a little young, so you may or may not know this, but Teaser is actually a song that dates back to like the 70s. You may have heard of a Motley Crue version, but it was originally written and recorded by this guy, Tommy Bolin, and he's the guitar player that replaced Ritchie Blackmore briefly in Deep Purple. So if you research that, you should check that out. It's kind of a cool song, though. That's kind of interesting.
Cool, man. Yeah, so the reason we chose Teaser was because, my dad, he played in bands back in the day, in the 80s, and that was his, local Sacramento band was called Teaser. So, we were trying to find a name, but we did Van Halen, but we also did other classic rock tunes as well.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
We mostly did Hagar and Roth.
Oh, okay. Hagar and Roth. That's kind of interesting. That was going to be my next question, because typically you have fans that are either like purely like Roth fans or purely Hagar fans, and I'm kind of probably like you. I dig both. I kind of dig both. So.
Right. Yeah. Same here. Yeah. I would say I lean more to Hagar than Roth though when I listen to Van Halen.
Yeah. It's kind of unique because they're two like totally different singers. Roth, if you listen to some of his lyrics, they're kind of nonsensical, but they fit what he does, Whereas I would say that there's a certain audience, which I put myself in that audience for what David Lee Roth does, and you can never really go wrong with the original singers, they say, but I would say in all honesty, Sammy Hagar's got a hands down much better songwriter, much better singer, but I think there's a place for both of them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And anyway, so back to my dad being in bands back in the day. He was in a local Sacramento band called Treason.
Oh,
and
wow.
Frank Hannon actually produced his band.
Wow.
A while ago. So there's a kind of a family connection there.
Now, when Frank reached out to you initially, did he was he aware of that, or did you kind of bring that up later? That's kind of unique, though.
Yeah. So Frank invited me to his house. I think it was in this last December to go play a Tesla song with him. At a show at Powerhouse Pub in Folsom.
Oh, wow.
And, before the show, we went to his house, me and my dad, and my dad told him, he was like, "Hey, man, you produced my band back in the 80s. And he totally remembered it. It was super cool.
Wow. Talk about generation. Wow.
Right, yeah, it went kind of full circle.
Oh,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah, so we go to his house, and, man, I mean, it was like a pinch me kind of moment when I got there.
I bet.
I mean, he had records all over his walls.
Oh, yeah.
And he was playing with a Frank Hannon band.
Yeah, Frank Hannon.
They were all jamming out in their garage.
He's super talented.
And he goes, Dino, I want you to sing "Getting Better" by Tesla.
Oh, wow.
And I gotta be honest, man. He goes, I didn't really know that much Tesla before I met Frank. So the night before, when he told me, I was staying up all night learning that song.
Well, that's interesting because, first of all, Frank Hannon is a super talented guy. I mean, not just his guitar playing, but I mean, if you look what he's done, like even with the Frank Hannon band, like you were saying, I mean, he's a lead singer, he's a songwriter, produces, he does it all. And it's kind of interesting, like, well, you're obviously younger, so it's kind of interesting that you're kind of discovering, Tesla at this point in life. But what was that like to kind of meet the guy that's in the band? He's agreed to produce you, and you get up on stage and you jam to Getting Better. Now, I'm a huge Tesla fan from way back when they first burst on the scene back in '87. But and I gotta tell you, that's one of the first songs I ever heard by Tesla, Getting Better, and I just love the kind of the way it starts off and then all of a sudden it just kicks in and in a real powerful way.
Yeah. So I knew Tesla, but of course, being a fan of '70s and '80s rock and that genre. But to actually really dive into their catalog was super cool, because I knew Love Song, of course, and Modern Day Cowboy. But no, I mean, now I'm a huge fan of Tesla music, of course. But it was pretty cool.
And for a guy like me that's been around as a fan for Tesla since day one, I got to tell you, I'm sure you've also heard the song Signs off that 5-man acoustical jam album from '91, and it's kind of amazing. I interviewed the original lead guitar player, Tommy Skio, that was with Tesla back then, and he was telling me, he says, that song Signs, that was a cover we did by this other band called the 5-man, I think, electrical band, and he was like, that was their song, but it wasn't as big of a hit for them. We had a much bigger hit with it, but it kind of made people start to take notice of that song all these years later.
Right, yeah, that's how it goes a lot with covers,
Yeah.
For our Red Vodoo, we're going to be releasing an EP out coming soon after the follow-up of our Rise Up, our single.
Oh.
And we're dabbling with putting on a Hager cover on there.
Oh, I was wondering about that because Red Vodoo, I think that was actually the name of the Sammy Hagar solo album.
Yeah, man. So when we went to go look for our original name, and let me just put this out here, all of us in Red Vodoo, we are huge Sammy Hagar fans.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's one of our biggest influences as a band and how we write, so we were trying to find an original name, and I'm on these like redhead kind of groups on Facebook and stuff, and we were like, hey, because they all knew, of course, that we played Van Halen and Van Hagar, all that stuff. So like, hey, we need an original name, and someone in the comments put Red Vodoo, and we went there and fact checked it. No one, really had that as an original name. We were like, hey, it has a good ring to it.
Yeah, because when I heard the name of the band, that's initially what I thought, but I kind of thought, because I know it's always hard to come up with a band name, but that's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the hardest part of being in a band. And
what's cool about that is it kind of tells people, kind of who you're influenced by and kind of what the band's all about. And, it's not too much of a story there, but like you said, it kind of tells you what you need, a little bit you need. And I got to tell you, the single I've heard, Rise Up, a great little acoustical kind of acoustic rock tune, and I say that because I watched a video today in preparation talking to you, Dino, and oddly enough, even though I knew Frank Hannon produced it, it does kind of have a Tesla vibe, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Tesla is great at everything they do in the sense that they put out great original music. They've done great covers of other people's songs. Everything they do is they've done everything from power ballads to metal, full blown on metal, and that's one of the things I love about the band. But Tesla's one of the first major rock bands that really got back in the day, got into the unplugged and acoustic thing. I mean, with that album especially that came out in '91, oddly enough, that was right when they started having MTV Unplugged and all that, and like Signs. I mean, that's not an original Tesla tune, but that's what people think of Tesla. Let's be honest, they think of Modern Day Cowboy, Love Song, Signs, and a couple other songs, and it's just amazing because 30 years since that acoustic album came out, they recently put out a new acoustic version, kind of celebrate the 30th anniversary of that album, and they got some of their newer songs, some of the songs that were on the original album, and it's just kind of and they recorded it at Abbey Road Studio, so I don't know if you had a chance to check that out, but that's definitely worth checking out.
I have, It's a great album.
Yeah, and they even put a DVD out to go along with that, so that's kind of a cool little thing to have if you're a Tesla fan. And I gotta tell you, I'm glad to hear that you guys are working towards an EP at least, because there are so many bands, especially in this COVID-19 2020 year, where people are just holding off on releasing any new music. There's no live shows. So, that's kind of a bummer. I dig the fact that, you're kind of giving your fans a little taste of what's to come,
Yeah, man. Yeah, we've been really working hard on just our songwriting right now. And, it's just a bummer, no live shows. And we're hoping maybe 2021 we could hopefully get back to, live concerts for everybody.
Yeah, now, I also, in preparation for this interview, I seen the other day, I forget what the date is, you can maybe help me with that, but you guys have like a live appearance coming up with Monsters of Rock Cruise Studio, and I've seen some of their recent shows. I gotta tell you, man, for the lack of live shows, they do pretty decent, shows with what they've been doing lately on their site.
Yeah, man. We haven't gotten our full details about that yet. It's confirmed and booked.
Yeah.
But man, we're pretty excited about that. We're like, that is the closest what we have for a live show.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really fun. We'll play some of our originals and throw in a couple covers in there.
And I think Rise Up is like a great way to introduce the band. Like I said, it's a great little kind of acoustic. And I got to tell you, I dug the kind of red-orange truck you had in the video, because it took me back to, when I was younger, like back in the 70s, they had this TV show called Sanford and Son with this, like Black Junkman, and it played by Red
that's
Fox.
What everyone's been telling us.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, that takes me back. Yeah.
Yeah, man, we want to have a really cool like visual other than ourselves in the music video.
Yeah.
And we were kind of going towards kind of like, kind of bringing MTV to like a modern era, Yeah, you can tell with the font.
Yeah.
And just kind of how it was produced.
I'll tell you, the video looks really professional looking, and I'll tell you a funny story about a guy that was around back in the days of MTV. I've been seeing stuff all over Facebook that, MTV is like 38 years old, but here's the funny thing, about that. Of those 38 years, they only had 14 years where we played actual music videos. Now it's turned into more of like a reality TV show.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only watch the old stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean that's what they need. They need to bring something like that back. I mean, they had everything for
this would be, this would be the great time to do it, because, the whole thing about Red Vodoo as well is we want to bring, that kind of 70s, 80s rock and roll music back to not only your guys' generation for newer bands, but to my generation as well, introducing them, because I have a lot of friends who, I play them, I say, hey, do you guys like rock and roll? And they're like, oh no, it's emo, it's goth.
Yeah, I mean,
and then I play in Boston.
Yeah.
I play in Boston, I go, this is rock and roll.
Yeah, wow. Now, I'm sure being your age, a lot of that stuff, like Boston and Van Halen, your dad probably turned you on to, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because I tell you, Boston was one of those bands back in the day. They put out great music, but, I mean, it was like one of those bands. They put out like a record every 8 years, and it's like, man, you guys are really something great. You gotta get out there just a little more.
Right.
But it's amazing, because even though they don't really tour that much these days, it's been a while since they put out a new album. I mean, their music, their legacy, it has stood the test of time.
Yeah, man, for sure. And just kind of changing gears to guitar players, man. So the guitar player in Red Vodoo. You saw him in the music video too, David Loyler.
Okay.
So that guy, man, I mean, his greatest, like my greatest influence is Sammy Hagar. His greatest influence is Eddie Van Halen.
Wow, that's kind of interesting, because especially when Sammy was in Van Halen, like at all the live shows, they had Hagar and Eddie doing the guitar thing together, whereas with the original lineup, they just had like one guitar player.
But man, so he's a really great guitar player. I mean, that guy, when we in our cover band days, I mean, this guy was playing Eruption, Cathedral, 316, every single Eddie Van Halen guitar solo you could think of. And in our newer stuff that we're going to be releasing soon, it really shows.
Well, that's amazing. See, I love stuff like that. Like, in the early '90s, they when the grunge kind of took over, and they had all these new metal bands, and all these bands are like, we don't do solos. I'm like, why not? Come on, that's what's missing from a lot of the bands these days.
We're bringing the art of solo back into at least our music, and other bands like Greta Van Fleet and Dirty Honey. So far we just got a taste with the one single, Rise Up, and it's a pretty good taste we got. But let me ask you, like, I'm kind of thinking that you guys, that's just a small taste. I'm kind of thinking you guys are kind of like Tesla in the sense that you're going to have a little bit of everything
for, like, you're gonna maybe have like a metal tune, you're gonna maybe have a ballad, and everything else in between.
Right, man. You know what we're trying to really go for is we're trying to be that, you know, California party rock band again.
Oh, that's what's been missing. I mean, they had a few good bands here and there, but I tell you, they just even here in LA where I'm from, I mean, the music scene isn't what it used to be. A lot of the clubs are closing down. A lot of the 80s rock guys are moving to either Las Vegas or Nashville. I mean, Nashville's where a lot of the rock guys are going now these days.
Right, I think, who was it? Maybe Vince Neil lives in Nashville or something like that. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, and Karabi, Mick Mars, I hear a lot of those guys. And then I heard Nikki Sixx recently moved to Wyoming, so they're spreading all over the place.
Yeah, man, for sure.
And now, let me ask you. So what's it like? I assume you guys have been working mainly like out of Frank Hanna's studio. What's that been like? And how is he as far as a producer and helping to develop a band? Is he like kind of let you guys just do your thing, or does he really kind of try to mold you into what he thinks you are?
You know, he's trying to mold us into what we think we can be.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a guy that has had 30 years, you know, experience with being Tesla and making it in rock and roll.
Yeah.
And he's really helped us. He has a lot of experience and wisdom to share. And I mean, he really knows how to write good songs, you know, because we come with the meat and potatoes of our song. Yeah. And then we sit down and, you know, plan out the arrangements as a band of the parts and stuff and how they fit, you know, with the lyrics, melody, all that kind of stuff. And it's cool when we go into the studio, you know. I mean, all of the awesome gear that he has that's available to help create art.
Oh, that's amazing. And, you know, I tell you, one of the other bands, I interviewed one of the singers from the other bands he's produced called, I don't know if you've heard of them, Chase Ingle and the Night Shift. And, man, they just they're like, if you check out their Facebook page, it's like, they remind me like of a cross between Kiss and like Queen. I mean,
nice.
they get dressed up like, and you know, if you look at them, they look like rock stars, if you know what I mean.
Right, that's cool, man.
And so I think Frank, really, you're lucky to be working with him because not only is he a talented musician and producer, but he seems to have a real eye for, you know, these up-and-coming bands that got something to say. And I think, like, you're the latest bands that he's working with. So, I mean, he obviously seeing something in you guys. And I think it's great that you're starting to get even a little bit of exposure that you're getting. Because, you know, I got to go on record saying that your publicist, Chip, he's one of the top rock publicists. I mean, you guys, just in case you're not aware, you got the same publicist as like Judas Priest and Michael Schenker. Just think about that for a minute.
That's really, I mean, Chip is the greatest, and so is Jody, our radio gal. She's awesome too, Jody Best.
Yeah,
and we're really thankful for that.
Yeah, so I mean, that says a whole bunch about the talent you guys have as a band. Now, I know the current single is Rise Up, and people can check out the video. If people wanted to purchase the track, are they able to do that yet, or are you going to wait till the EP comes out?
Well, they could purchase the track. It's available on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you listen to music. But yeah, also we have this on our redvoodoo.band.com. We have our Rise Up bundle going on right now.
Okay.
And that's for all, you know, we want to give back to all the healthcare heroes on the front lines who are fighting the coronavirus because, as you know, the song Rise Up is inspired by the times we're going through right now.
Wow.
And the Rise Up bundle includes our limited edition Rise Up t-shirt, 4 Rise Up guitar picks,
wow, and
1 autographed photo of us from the photo shoot, the Rise Up photo shoot. So yeah. So
I think that's really cool you guys are doing that. And see, I wasn't even aware that that's what the track was about. I thought it was just kind of a good time rock tune, but that's cool. And let me ask you about the video, because like you said, it's a real professional looking video. I mean, like where was it filmed? It looks like it's filmed somewhere in the desert. And was it like an all day shoot or what?
Yeah, man. So funny thing, man, we filmed that video the hottest day of the summer. It was like 104.
Yeah.
It was like we were just drenching in sweat, man. It was like 104 out in that heat, and we filmed it in Cameron Park. And we found this it was like Mother Nature built this, like, you know, spot for us. It was pretty cool.
Wow. And I got to ask you, since obviously you're a Van Halen fan and that, now I'm going to ask you, I'm just curious, like as far as the Van Halen album you have in your collection, or one that you would say really inspired you, could you pick one like from the Roth era and the Hager album era?
Man. Hands down 5150.
Oh, now that's kind of interesting because that, of course, was the very first album they did, as you know, with Sammy Hagar in I believe it was 86. And a lot of people at the time thought, oh, Van Halen's not going to be able to make it without Roth. But, oddly enough, every album they did with Sammy went to #1.
Yeah, man. And I will... Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say that, and once that album came out, I mean, not only did they have a #1 album, but the songs on that album, they were just such really great rhythm tunes, and I just think people were expecting one thing, like the band's going to bomb without Roth, and it just soared to the next level,
Exactly, man. And the reason I say 5152 is because, when Red Vodoo, we have our EP, but we also going towards an album, and we want our first album to really be party and rock on like 5150 is.
Oh, yeah. And what's interesting about 5150 is, a lot of people say, oh, that's heavily like a keyboard album, but like, I remember the very first time I heard that single, Why Can't This Be Love? #1, I mean, just the keyboards and my guitar together, it killed it. And it was like nothing Van Halen had done really before. And like I said, it took it to the next level. And the really amazing thing about 5150 being the big hit that it was, is that was the first album they did with Sammy Hagar. It was also the only Van Halen album they did with Sammy that they did not record a single music video for.
No, yeah, they said, you want to come see us, you got to come see us live.
Yeah, and that was kind of interesting because Van Halen was known for their videos back in the day, and I think
David Lee Roth, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the only album they ever did, and they just said, and it's kind of unique because MTV was very big back then, and you would have expected, okay, they're going to continue to do the music video thing, but on that one album, for whatever reason, they decided not to, and they just, off their live performances and the songs being played on the radio, it was a big enough hit,
Yeah, and one thing about Red Vodoo, too, is we are really big on our live performances. And, we have a lot of energy on there and really put on a really good show for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool if you guys thought about you have the one show with the Monsters of Rock coming up, but have you thought, because I'm just watching the video, I think people would dig into, like, how a lot of these bands are doing stuff from a studio, like, doing a show in your backyard or something, or from your living room. I think, or even a rehearsal, I think people would dig to check you guys out, I'm kind of get to know you more.
Right, yeah, man, for sure. And I think when this pandemic kind of blows over, whenever it will, that's when people can get more of a taste of what we're all about. But I think what our goal is kind of building a foundation and building connections with people. Mm-hmm. And so when live shows do come back and we go on tour, we can be really established by then. And
I think the cool thing that you guys are doing, like I said, the fact that you're not waiting till 2021 to put something out is, hopefully by then, you'll be able to start touring again or doing live shows, and by that point, people will be a little more familiar with your music by then.
Right.
Yeah. And so, like, do you have a lot of tunes already, like, in the can, working towards a full length, or because I know the EP is going to be the first thing, but like, what do you think we'll get on there? Like 4 or 5 tunes, maybe even a cover of another band's a song or something like that.
Yeah, I think we're shooting towards 4 tunes and then a bonus cover track.
Oh, that'd be cool. And I know you don't want to say, but I wouldn't be. Let's just put it this way: I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Van Halen or a Sammy tune.
You might be onto something. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's great. It's great to talk to you, Dino. So you said for the Sammy era of the band, you would pick 5150. Is there a Roth album that you're particularly fond of?
Probably, I really do like Diver Down or just plain old Van Halen 1.
That's interesting because they're two totally different, but like especially Diver Down, a lot of the diehard Van Halen fans don't like because it's like mostly a cover album. But like I dig the songs that are on there. Like I'm sure like Oh Pretty Woman, that was originally done by a singer named Roy Orbison. Yeah. But that's one of those songs that it was totally fit David Lee Roth for what he was all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so I dig it and then of course, never go wrong with the debut Van Halen. I mean, that's when people.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Not at all.
I mean, it's amazing what they did with "You Really Got Me" because that's another cover tune, of course, by the Kinks, and a lot of people that are Van Halen fans, they hear "You Really Got Me," having no idea it's a cover. A lot of people really think it's a Van Halen tune, and that's kind of amazing when you can take somebody else's tune and really kind of own it and make it all your own. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. And they did a great job of that.
Yeah. So when do you have any idea? Like, I know you guys are still in the studio. When the EP might come out? Like, is there a projected release date, or you're not really sure at this point?
I'll say this before 2020 is over.
Oh, that's great. That's sooner than later. And I dig that.
Yeah, sooner than later. Yeah, for sure, man.
Well, Dino, I really did get to know you and talking to you today. The interview will probably be going up in the next week or so. I'll be sure to let you and Chip know. At that point, you're able to post it on any of your sites if you wish to do that and share it. And
yeah, for sure.
Anytime you have anything you'd like to talk about, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to do it because I tell you, your band, Red Vodoo, I really dig the single. And one band that I can tell people I really look forward to helping to promote in the future. So let's stay in touch, okay?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. Jason, right?
Yeah. Take care, Dino. Bye-bye.
All right.